Ich freue mich jetzt, Noy Katsman. I welcome Noy Katsman on the stage now. Noy ist queer activist and peace activist. Noy ist Friedensaktivisti und queer activisti.
Hi everyone. My grandmother was born exactly 100 years ago in Dortmund to immigrants from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. She left Germany 10 years later after the Nazis came into power to the USA. 60 years later, her daughter, my mother, moved to Israel, the Holy Land for the Jews, where she thought she belonged. And 30 years later, her kid, me, left the state because they didn't feel they belonged anymore. I couldn't feel I belonged to a country more than 70% of its citizens support deportation. I couldn't forget what happened to my grandmother when there was so much hate towards the other, the Jew. Here in Germany, I'm an immigrant again, the 5th generation of immigration. And in some ways, history is rising back from the past. While the genocide and ethnic cleansing in the Holy Land is ongoing, justified by other atrocities, tragic events are used here as well in order to justify hate and racism. I'm sending my condolences and recovery to all people and families hurt in Munich on Thursday, and wish we can learn to build a safe and just place to live in. The last year and a half were difficult for many of us. Some of us lost our loved ones physically. But worse than that was losing many people I thought of as partners. Israelis, many of them from my queer community, who I thought were my allies in my demand for justice and peace. Some of them, sadly, were captivated by ideas of revenge and deportation. Magical ideas that would make our problem disappear. They are tired, it seems, from listening and being empathetic for others. They want everything to be solved easily by transferring human beings, forgetting what happened to us 85 years ago. Here in Germany, far from the land I came from, I was thinking it would be easier working together. But I discovered things aren't simple. People and groups, I found, carries our collective memory, and this memory travels through space and time. I wish we could, as people, understand that our memories and narratives are not in danger if we listen to others. I want to talk to 3 groups I'm deeply involved with: Israeli Jews here, Germans, and Palestinians. First, to my country members, is Israelis living in Berlin and Germany. We don't need to import our conflict here. We can live safely together in Berlin, in Kreuzberg, Neukölln, and Helmandstraße. The Palestinians who live here suffered and still suffer from the state, as we are welcomed here with open hands. And most importantly, don't forget that the Palestinians who are now living here were forced by us to leave their own land. To the Germans, I know you think you want to fix the past and help the Jews who live in Germany and in the world. I appreciate you a lot for that. But in the same breath, we need to remember one of the most important lessons from the Holocaust: the labeling of the other. The other as a threat, as a risk to our culture. I'm speaking here a day before the elections, after the anti-immigration and Islamophobic discourse grew to an extreme we didn't know of. Some Germans think, it seems, that if they would blame the Muslims for the anti-Semitism, it would wash their hands off their own responsibility. So I'm here, an Israeli Jew, to tell you you're wrong. Don't incite us against each other. Take responsibility, both about the anti-Semitism in your society and for your arming of the massive killing and destruction in Gaza. To the Palestinians, I want to tell you, I see your pain and suffering. The pain in Palestine, happening to your relatives and loved ones, by my government, and the pain here, caused by the state, who supports the killing in the long on one side, and wants to erase your identity here on the other. I promise I will continue fighting for you. I have one wish. Please try to see our pain as well. Me and my friends, as everyone, didn't choose where to be born. Many of us sacrificed a lot in order to fight the Israeli apartheid state and challenge it. My brother, who was killed by Hamas, was one of them. I hope you can find room in your heart for empathy for us, so we can work together. Finally, I want to thank my queer friends who did continue to fight for justice and peace. The queer perspective, in my opinion, is able to stand for justice without forgetting the people behind the ideas and nationalities. I will end with a quote of the queer Jewish theorist, Judith Butler. Whether or not we continue to enforce a universal conception of human rights at moments of outrage and incomprehension, precisely when we think that others have taken themselves out of the human community as we know it, is a test of our very humanity. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Noy. That was a very impressive speech.